Ladies and gentlemen, our referee has called a stop to this contest, declaring the winner by knockout and new MMA show! Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another exciting round of and new MMA show. I'm your host, Michael Hansen. I do all kinds of uncanny things with microphones. Chief among them, I'm a professional ring announcer, and I am joined this week, as I always am, by my two friends who bring MMA punditry to new heights. Joining us first on the left side of your screens from New York, Mark Priaulx. Mark, what's up, bud?
What's happening? I actually just forgot we were on camera for a second. I'm reading something over here. But yeah, man, I'm ready to go. I'm pumped to come in and talk something that is not MMA, which is not the norm for this show.
This is true.
But looking forward to it.
This is true. And joining us on the right side of your screens from the Sunshine State of Florida, Omar Artola. Omar, what's up, babe?
What's going on? What a weekend of fights. Some history got made. Can't wait. Can't wait to talk about it. I'm kind of full.
Absolutely. Well, the rundown for today's show is going to be first, as we always start out with our first segment on the marquee. Then we're going to recap the main event from last weekend's UFC Fight Night, and then maybe go into our lightning round. Then we're going to hop into our Priaulx rankings, then dive inside the MMA sphere, and then look ahead to some fights coming up this weekend. So, gentlemen, before we get to our first segment on the marquee, let us remind our viewers and our audience, please like and subscribe to this channel. If you're on YouTube, subscribe and hit the bell icon so that you always get updated when a new episode drops. If you're into podcasts, you can definitely find the audio version of this wherever you get your podcasts. And of course, find us on social media at @andnew_MMA show. So let's get into this, guys. This week on the marquee, the name has got to be Tyson Fury, who last weekend defeated in their third contest, Deontay Wilder, this time by knockout in the 11th round. Mark, let me start with you. What did you make of the performance by Tyson Fury, the reigning heavyweight lineal champion?
Holy shit. What a fight. First off, I just want to give a quick shout out to Tommy O'Neill, the host of Unboxing Podcast, our guest from last week, because he absolutely crushed it. First off, he gave you guys 3 picks, one of which was an underdog, went 3 for 3 on those. On top of that, he called Wilder going to the body, which he did early and often. He predicted multiple knockdowns in the fight and said Wilder would be getting back up and wouldn't go away. And he called Tyson Fury 10th round KO, which, yes, it was 11th, but you can't get much closer than that. So yeah. I just wanted to give him a quick shout out. You know, that's the quality of guests that we have on here for you guys. We're not just putting any random schmoes on this show.
Yeah.
So with that being said, that is the most fun I've ever had watching boxing in my life. That was freaking awesome. Now, I don't watch that much boxing, you know, to be fair. I might start watching more because that was fantastic. But the swings in that fight were insane. I mean, you get Wilder coming out in round 1, going to the body and looking as good as he did in a way that no one expected that fight to start, and clearly taking round 1. Round 2 was close, might have been Wilder's round also. Then round 3 comes, Fury gets the knockdown. Wilder looks like he's out of it. And you're like, all right, you know, it started a little crazy, not the way we thought, but it's going to play out now. It kind of felt like Fury might finish him at any moment. What happens in round 4? Wilder comes out and drops Fury twice. I mean, already we're 4 rounds in. The swings are out of control. Fury, obviously, to his credit, gets up twice. Both of them were weird. Like, he looked like you could tell he was definitely hurt, but he also looked like he was like almost more pissed than hurt. Like he was like, how the fuck do I keep ending up on my ass? So yeah, those were great. But so that's a 10-7 round for Deontay. And then it's possible he also wins the 5th. The 5th is close. So, you know, again, 2 and 5 were close. They could go either way, but through 5 rounds, we're at a possibility where the fight might be 48-44 Wilder. Mm-hmm. Which is, there's not a human on the planet Earth that would have predicted 48-44 Wilder through 5 rounds. Like, if you were taking Wilder, you were taking it saying he's going to be losing the fight and he gets a knockout. Certainly not like that. Then we get into round 6, which is where the fight finally starts to change. You know, Fury's so good at dirty boxing. He's inside. He's using his weight. He's leaning on him. He's the bigger fighter. Yeah. He's getting in the small shots, and it's starting to pay dividends. Like, he's tiring Wilder out, gets his game going. What makes him so great is he can adjust and fight any way he needs to fight. But so it starts turning in his favor. But despite the fact that now from that point on, you know, rounds 6 through 10, you're given to Fury, there was not a moment in any of those rounds where I thought he was safe. Like, Wilder is still out of the friggin' blue when he's like a zombie, and you're thinking this dude might crash. His body might just say no more at any second. Is still landing bombs here and there. Like, at the end of round 9, he cracks Fury with an uppercut. Like, you wonder what would have happened if that wasn't at the end of the round. And then obviously if Fury drops him in 10, he gets up again. I mean, the heart on Wilder in that fight. Yeah. And then finally Fury puts him down for good in 11. But what's crazy is that he still didn't even put him down for good. The ref waves it off right away. Wilder thinks he's trying to beat a 10 count, and my man is up. Like, the camera cut away. You couldn't even really tell. He would have beat the 10 count. Like, that guy would not go. He wouldn't quit. He was incapable of quitting. And, like, yes, I don't love the excuses. He's already making more. I don't love that he didn't shake Fury's hand afterward. I wish he did, but you know, all that stuff is what it is. The heart that Deontay Wilder showed in that fight, when he's clearly the lesser boxer, but will not go away. The power that he carries when his body, you know, his body was at a point where it was like, Deontay, enough. And he was like, no, we're good. Yeah. I don't know how you can't love that guy just from the performance that he gave you. But Tyson Fury obviously is special. He's incredible. As I said, he's capable of winning fights so many different ways and styles, which is what makes him so dangerous. But just a truly incredible fight that people will be talking about for a long time.
Omar, what did you make of this night and this performance of Tyson Fury and the performance of Deontay Wilder?
So I think there's a lot of, like, I don't watch a lot of boxing like Mark, but I probably watch a little bit more boxing than Mark does, just because there's certain fighters that I like to watch, like Vasily Lomachenko, Canelo Alvarez. I think everybody watches Canelo Alvarez at this point. But the point is, there's a lot of singular fighters that I like watching for their performances and kind of what they bring to the table. And like, whoever's on the other side is either going to be cannon fodder or something amazing is going to happen and they're going to win. Like the guy that recently, you know, beat Lomachenko. I can never pronounce that kid's first name. Teofimo Lopez.
Yeah, I think you're pretty much it.
Fantastic fight, and legitimately beat him in a very, very technical fight. This fight was just wild. I think after a certain point, I didn't even care about scorecards or anything. It was probably, again, to Mark's credit, the most fun I've had watching a full-on boxing fight. I thought once it got down to it, and I think we talked about this last week, Deontay can't box. He's not a boxer. He's not a boxer. He is a puncher, a fantastic puncher, but his accuracy is good at best. His footwork angers me personally. And his defense is non-existent. I don't know if you guys were listening during the fight. I heard Edmund screaming, "Head movement! Head movement!" I heard it. So it just, there were certain things like that really like annoyed the shit out of me watching the fight. But it's always annoyed me about Deontay. Regardless, the heart is undeniable. That heart is what made that fight as entertaining as it was. The back and forth between both men, as far as I'm concerned. One of those punches that Fury got hit with locked his whole body up for a second.
Yeah.
Made his whole body think twice about what he was doing and put him right on his ass. Deontay got hit with a few of those, and there's a few moments, if you go back and watch that fight, where Deontay's legs sort of
for sure
get like swept up together, and they get curled up together, and his whole body's just ready to go. But you know, again, he was the most difficult thing to bring down, and credit to him, man. Like, I think at the end of it, when he finally got dropped, I mean, his body just wasn't. His body just didn't want to do it anymore. He did, but his body didn't. Fantastic fight. I mean, it really doesn't get more legendary than that. It really doesn't.
I thought that Wilder looked like he was pretty much in trouble from the third round knockdown on for the whole fight, but that power straight right was just always a threat. And really, once he got knocked down, I felt like the jab kind of went out the window. That jab that he started the fight with, I feel like the first round he was like, I'm only allowed to jab in the first round. He just kept throwing this jab to the body. And then once Fury just kind of, was avoiding his right hand and started chipping away and got a knockdown in the third, the Wilder just went right back to his comfort zone, which was just hunting the right straight, just looking to just blast that right straight. And you knew Fury was thinking, all I have to do is avoid the right hand and just do my thing, lean on him, get him tired, and box. But you keep throwing that right hand over the course of 12 rounds. I guess Fury was bound to, catch one on the forehead, which is with the one that kind of just rattled his cage and took him off of his feet. And then I felt like the second knockdown, I had watched it a couple of times. Maybe you guys know a little bit better what exactly happened. I thought it was a little bit more of just sort of an unbalancing. I didn't really see the punch that really knocked him down.
Oh, I thought he got dropped.
Yeah, I mean, so I think it's actually a little bit of both, in my opinion, because he I don't know if he had fully really recovered, because the one that hit him, the one that brought him down the first time, that he felt that from here all the way to the tip of his toe. I mean, that was a whole body shaker. So I think when he got up, he got up in the 10 seconds, he was doing his Fury thing and bouncing up and down, but I don't think he was
definitely
100%.
Put some wind back in his sails for sure.
I mean, yeah, sure. But I think he was just a little bit easier to tip over that second time. And I do think that it was a little bit of a unbalancing, but I think it had to do as a result of the first punch that he ate, not necessarily the one that got followed up with.
You get hit by a truck, it's going to take you a little bit to bounce back.
Yeah.
Which there was a point in that fourth round, I mean, I guess for everybody, but where I was like, holy fuck, like Fury's not going to make it out of this round. Like it. I mean, that was nuts.
It was like, holy shit, Wilder's he did it. He got it.
Like he's doing it. Like it's about to happen.
Oh God.
But yeah, the other crazy thing about the matchup that they are is that you have this one man who is literally like an action figure. Like that was the best shape Wilder's ever been in. He already was in crazy shape. He was in stupid shape going to that fight. And then you have Tyson Fury, who just looks like a dude, like on the street, like
a giant dude, but a dude.
Like it's crazy.
Yeah.
And let's be real. This is not even about like, the normal guy won or this dude who doesn't look like an athlete had a significantly better gas tank.
Oh, sure. That's part of it too.
Yeah.
And a significantly better overall boxing technique when it came to the rhythm, like all of it.
He's incredible.
He's
unbelievable.
He's so goddamn good. Tyson Fury.
Can we talk for a second though about the spectacle around boxing right now, maybe overall, but also like this night was also a shining example. I mean, you have Deontay Wilder, who walks out first looking like Shredder from the Ninja Turtles.
I liked Deontay's entrance a lot.
You did?
Yeah, I did. I was into it. I hated Fury's.
Fury's was unbelievably, it was crazy. You had the dancing gypsy guy, and then he's wearing a Spartan outfit.
So cheesy.
But he's what song was he walking out to? Like some country song.
I forget now.
No, or some like AC/DC song.
God, I really can't remember who he
was AC/DC. I don't know if it was Back in Black. It might have been Back in Black.
Was it?
Or was it You Shook Me All Night Long? It was definitely AC/DC.
Maybe it was that. God, I can't remember. I really can't remember. But anyway, it was corny. It was corny.
Corny.
Like, I was hyped during Wilder's entrance, and then Fury's happened, and I was like, come on.
But wait. Fury wins the fight in spectacular fashion, dominant. He takes the microphone.
Oh yeah,
and starts singing.
That's his thing. He does it every time.
And not only, he didn't sing for like 10 seconds. He sung for like 3 minutes.
I was praying it was coming, man. I love when he does that.
And
It's
who's going
great.
to take the microphone from him? This guy is a unicorn. We will never have another Tyson Fury in our lifetime.
Yeah.
From everything, the whole package of Tyson Fury, from his British, raspy British accent to his 6'9" frame that he used to weigh 400 pounds, 500 pounds. He lost all this weight, his mental health story, his talent as a boxer, and then just all of this, the spectacle of that he brings. It's just, I was watching that at the very end with him singing for 3 minutes, a full rendition of a song. And then he finishes it and he goes, "Thank you and good night." Like he's a rock star now. He screams, "Thank you."
He gives zero fucks about anything. He feels like he's from a different era, kind of.
Yeah,
which is what makes me love him.
That was a great night to pull that bullshit, though. I tell you that, because everybody loved him that night. That was a legendary.
He did it. He did it last time too, though.
But you got to think, that night, especially that night, if you were at that arena for that fight, whether you were in the nosebleeds, that fight
must have been so crazy to see live.
I mean, it couldn't have mattered what seats you had that night. That being there had to have been enough. I mean,
yeah.
Well, before we move on, anything else you guys want to say about Fury Wilder 3?
I'll say two things real quick.
Yeah.
When this fight got booked, I was like, do we really need a third one? And holy fuck, was I wrong on that, because that is now one of the greatest trilogies ever. Secondly, I saw today that they are already talking about the Joshua Usyk rematch happening in the spring, or maybe even like late winter. So that's really soon, which is cool, because when that's settled, we can probably get Fury, say Usyk wins again, Fury Usyk, and do Wilder Joshua, which I've been wanting to see for ages. Obviously, they have the history there of everyone thinking they were going to fight before Fury ever came into the picture. So that would be cool. Some things actually happening in heavyweight boxing.
For sure.
Did you see that Joshua fight with Usyk?
Oh yeah.
Joshua got his let's be real. If it wasn't in the contract, Joshua should not be getting a rematch.
He got worked.
That was an ass beating of all ass beatings. I mean, that's as bad as it gets in boxing without getting completely murdered.
I mean, I don't think I agree with that, to be honest. He clearly lost. I didn't think it was an ass beating.
He got worked. I
mean, he just got beat. He won some rounds.
His face was flying all over the place.
Yeah. He got beat, and he will get beat again. I don't see how he corrects.
I also think he'll get,
but that'll make me happy, because then we'll get hopefully Wilder and Joshua.
Yeah, I think that was a very.
I want to see that fight.
That was a very clear, distinct difference in the way that they box and their skill level, and I just don't think Joshua is going to beat him.
Oh, I think Wilder kills Joshua.
You do? I don't at all.
Oh my god, I think he kills him.
Really?
I don't think there's a man alive that can beat Deontay Wilder beside Tyson Fury.
Wow. Okay.
I really don't.
Even though we said on this very episode that he doesn't know how to box.
He really does.
I mean, it hasn't mattered until he met Tyson Fury.
That's true. He did go like 40-0.
Yeah.
40-0 and a multimillionaire with a straight right from hell.
Yeah. I'm not impressed by Joshua's game. I never really was.
I'm not impressed by your performance.
But anyway, it's boxing, so we'll probably get Deontay Wilder versus a garbage man and Joshua versus a fireman, and none of this will actually happen. But
imagine if they did that in MMA, like after Conor lost to Khabib, he then fought like, I don't know, who would you like? Give me one, Mark, of like
John McDessie.
Yeah, right.
Damn.
And then like fight for the title.
Yeah.
Well, anyway.
Well, yeah, because he fought the
boxing.
50th ranked
Boxing
guy in
just
the division.
they need proper matchmaking. If they made better matchmaking, a lot of nonsense would go away. But they have too many politics
for sure
in their matchmaking.
Yeah. Well, speaking of MMA, guys, the name of this podcast of this show is And New MMA Show. So
yes, sir.
Let us turn away from boxing. Congratulations to Mr. Tyson Fury. Enjoy your week on the marquee. So, gentlemen, also last weekend in the UFC Fight Nights, Rodriguez versus Dern, Marina Rodriguez defeated the very popular Mackenzie Dern by unanimous decision. Omar, let me start with you. What did you make of this fight, this performance by Marina Rodriguez?
I think it was exactly the performance she needed. probably the exact performance that we expected her to have. She used her striking and her ground game. I thought was a lot more impressive than I thought it would be. I think we all knew that she was no slouch on the ground, but at the same time, to kind of survive that kind of ground attack from Mackenzie, being in mount for God only knows how long she was in mount or bottom for Rodriguez. So she was in a lot of disadvantageous positions. She was in a lot of danger and a lot of times, and she worked her way out. I think she attacked back a couple of times from the bottom at one point. I don't know how effective that really was, but I know at minimum it was a statement saying like, you ain't just going to stay down here and just try to work me. Like, I'm going to fight back. Like, you're going to have a problem with me. Yeah. And I appreciated that. And at the end of the day, I think it was the right call for sure. And the striking, I think, was apparent. But I will say that Mackenzie's striking has gotten significantly better. And I think it's visibly better. I think it obviously is not, we're not there. I think she's still leagues behind Rodriguez, but I think her striking from where she was now to where she was maybe 2 fights ago, I mean, she would have got knocked out 2 fights ago if it was that same girl. I think she's gotten a lot better. I think she still needs to work her way up, but if she can work her way up and make these exponential growths that it seems like she's making now, I think we'll see a very different Mackenzie Dern in a couple of years. A much better Mackenzie Dern.
Mark, what did you make of Rodriguez's big win over Dern?
First off, it feels so nice to be talking MMA. Like when I'm talking boxing in my head, I'm like, man, I hope if boxing people are listening to this, that they're not like judging my takes right now. And now that we're back in MMA, I'm like, if anyone disagrees with me, shut up. Like, but with that being said, if you are a listener of this show and you are Team Mark when it comes to fight picks, please go back and enjoy my breakdown of this fight from last week, because it sounds as if I gave it after watching the fight happen. Your boy is hot these last few weeks. That Darren Till guarantee is a thing of the distant past. I actually forget I even brought it up. Get it out of the memory. We are fuego right now. As for the fight, first off, I do want to say Mackenzie Dern came in notably better shape than she was in the beginning of her UFC career. Like, way different shape. So props to her on that. But yeah, that went almost entirely as I expected. Dern did have her time on top where she, of course, looked dangerous, but Rodriguez knew how to stay safe, knew how to survive it. And there wasn't a lot of time on top for Dern. On the feet, Rodriguez, she managed to keep it standing for the most part. Dern, as I said, she's like a trip takedown artist. She's not a true shot takedown artist. So she wasn't able to get inside that range. Rodriguez was just so good at keeping the range, for the most part, removing that aspect of the fight. And on the feet, she'll just pick you apart. Like, she has such varied strikes. Everything has power. She keeps her range so well, which is something that was key in that fight, but also that a lot of people struggle with. Like, they throw their shots and they can't help it that their body kind of follows in and closes the range. Rodriguez's body does not move. Like, it is planted. Her range stays exactly what it is the whole time she throws the shot and brings it back. But yeah, she picked her apart. She fought a perfect fight. I agree, Dern, you can see the improvements she's making, but it was just what I thought. She's not there yet to beat someone as good as Rodriguez.
She almost did, though.
I mean, yeah, did she almost? Like, nothing was close.
She had her mounted.
What does that mean?
I mean, she was pretty close to finishing the fight.
I disagree. I don't think she was ever close to finishing the fight.
Well, I think the bell saved Rodriguez. I think 2 of the times that she was mounted.
Saved her from being mounted, but she was not close to. What was she close to being put in? Unless you're saying close that you just trust it would have come.
Because it's Mackenzie Dern. I think
right. Oh, all right. I mean, if you want to go that route, but I think that there was no reason for us to think Rodriguez wouldn't keep defending. Like, nothing ever got close the whole time they were on the ground.
Fair enough.
Was there ever a sub where you were like, ooh, she's about to have this?
I just think that Dern would have kept hunting subs and gotten one eventually.
Yeah, I mean, the question is, could Rodriguez have gotten up? Which maybe not. So okay. If it was endless time, I get the take. But anyway, yeah, great performance from Rodriguez, and I feel like one that kind of truly put her on the map now. Like, obviously she was there, but I kind of feel like people are already talking about her more as like a title challenger, which wasn't necessarily happening before. So it was big for her.
Nice. Where do you guys think, Mark, I'll stay with you. Where do you think Rodriguez goes from here?
I want one fight and one fight only. I know Joanna is almost back.
Oh, Jay.
Give me that fight. Poor Joanna, she just only gets put in fights with people who are going to punch her endlessly in the face while she tries to do the same. But I'm doing it to her again. I want to see those two punch each other in the face.
Omar, who do you think?
I know she was just saying that she didn't want to fight Joanna.
Oh, she did?
Supposedly they were asking her about who they wanted to fight next, and she was like, Joanna doesn't even fight no more. Joanna's out here taking pictures and doing all this stuff. She doesn't want to fight no more. Give me somebody who actually fights on a regular basis. Which, I don't know. That's a crazy statement. I feel
how do you turn down a fight with Joanna? Like, if they give that to her, she's really going to say no?
I mean, that seems like a nice little medal. If you really feel like that and you think you can go out there and beat Joanna, do that then.
It's talk. I think it's talk.
Plus, who else, unless you're going to go under you, who else do you fight? Because they're doing the Rose Whaley rematch, which I hate. I really wish Esparza got that title shot against Rose. I don't see why Whaley gets an immediate rematch, but they're doing it. And it kind of seems like they're having Esparza wait for the winner. And even if they weren't, you're not going to make Esparza fight Marina again. She just beat her. So, like, who, if she can't fight any of those three, it's like Joanna or no one else. So how do you say no to that?
Yeah. Any other last words you guys want to say about women's strawweight or this fight?
I'll just say I'm on Mackenzie. I think it's interesting because I think there's like two roads that you can take with her now. And I'm curious what they'll do because, you know, she's kind of arrived at this point. So like you could put her in with like another stud, like Zhao Ninyan. I hope I'm saying her name right. I always struggle with her name. Or like Tisha Torres and like throw her right back in. Or you could be like, you know what, like let's pump the brakes like slightly because she clearly still has work to do on her game. And let's give her like, and again, I'm saying slightly, like Michelle Waterson, who's like good, but she's not maybe quite those other people. So like I'm curious to see what they choose to do with Dern because I know they know that she's potentially marketable.
For sure.
And I don't know if they want to risk her losing two in a row.
She's still ranked 6th in the UFC rankings, and Rodriguez jumped up to 4th in the UFC rankings, which can't hold a candle to the
which she
rankings.
Should have always been. I don't know how she was not, but yeah.
Well, there you go. Well, gentlemen, the rest of this UFC fight night, Dern versus Rodriguez, let us convert into our lightning round. So this is our not a competition between Mark and Omar, where basically I'm just going to run down some of these fights and call them out and get some pretty much 1 to 2 sentence takes from our boys. So let us begin. UFC fight night, Dern versus Rodriguez. Randy Brown, unanimous decision over Jared Gooden. Omar, go first.
I feel bad for that boy's toe. Ooh. He cracks this man, Jared Gooden, with the front kick that was short of the Anderson Silva Vitor Belfort front kick.
I don't know how he didn't die.
I don't either.
It was monstrous.
Gooden ate it. He stumbled for a minute, and Randy Brown was left with a dislocated toe that he was stepping on for like 3 rounds to keep it in place. Crazy ass fight. Fantastic performance from Randy Brown. I'm a big Randy Brown fan, so let's go.
Mark Brown, UD over Gooden. Go.
Yeah, same, man. He looked good. He is fast. He looked poised and comfortable in there. He's long. He has power. Like, that boy is good. Like that, he is not going to be an easy fight for anyone in the division right now. Like, he has really come into his own.
Mateos Nicolau, UD over Tim Elliott. Mark, staying with you. Go.
Tim Elliott is tricky as hell, as we know, but it was pretty clear that after Nicolau got to spend 5 minutes in there with him and kind of get a feel for what it felt like to fight the weirdness that is Tim Elliott, that it started to become evident that Nicolau was the better fighter. I particularly thought the body shots in round 2 were excellent. Those were nasty, but yeah, good win for Nicolau for sure.
Omar, Nicolau over Elliott. You go.
Yeah, it was a fantastic performance from Nicolau. I think he adjusted really well to Tim Elliott. Tim Elliott he's just a very odd man to watch fight. He does a lot of weird things in that cage. I think he does a lot of it to bring things out of people. And, I think Nicolau realized he just needs to kind of stay poised, dig to the body, make him fight. And it worked out for him. It was a great performance.
Maria Agapova, third round submission win over Sabina Mazo. Omar, go.
Boy, that girl has a busted jaw and a tweaked neck. Oh, that was first of all, that whole fight was an ass beating. That was an ass beating.
That was an ass beating.
That was an ass beating. That was a bad one. That almost kind of felt like a mismatch, halfway through, just because of how much better she seemed to be all the way around. It was kind of crazy, but yeah, crazy finish.
Mark, Agapova, third round submission over Mazo.
So Anik was calling her Agapova now, and I usually copy Anik. So she's another one whose name has apparently changed because he was calling her Agapova the whole fight.
Agapova.
But Agapova had some beautiful combinations, like a lot. And Felder said it best. She was assassin-like in there. Like that is how you restart a hype train.
Mm-hmm.
That finish was disgusting, the way she hopped on that rear naked choke after dropping her. But yeah, man, she's good. And honestly, I actually bet on her as the dog because of this. I always felt like that Shayna Dobson fight felt more like a bad night than anything about her like being exposed as overhyped or anything. Like you don't end up minus 1,000 in a fight unless you have a lot of skills. And I still think that she does. I think for whatever reason, she had a bad night, and I think she's still very good and a name to watch.
Nice. Who do we got next? Chris Gutierrez, split decision over Felipe Colares. Omar, go.
That was a decent fight. It was pretty technical. There wasn't it really could have gone either way. If I remember right, I want to say it was the first round that was really the more contested round. But it was a decent fight. Nothing life-changing.
Mark, Gutierrez split over Colares.
I like Gutierrez. The more I watch him, the more I'm like, I think I like this guy. Like he has good footwork. He's really smart defensively. His leg kicks are a huge weapon. He's got a nice jab. Like I'm intrigued by him, and I know like he's very smart with his movement. I feel when I watch him. But I know the wrestling has been an Achilles heel for him, which has kind of tripped him up a couple times. But I kind of want to see him fight someone good because I watch him and I'm like, this dude might be good.
Alexander Romanov, second round TKO over Jared how do you say this? Vandera.
Yeah.
Vandera. Mark, take it.
Romanov is a beast. He just ragdolls guys in there.
Yeah, man.
It might be another name for us to watch coming up at heavyweight. There's quite a few at this point suddenly for the first time in a while. So yeah, add him to the list.
Omar, go. Romanov over Vandera.
Yeah, this is a violent one there. There's not really much else to say other than you just got to keep an eye out for Romanov. That's a violent man.
Damon Jackson, unanimous decision victory over Charles Rosa. Mark, go.
Oh my God, the amount of blood. I have not seen that much blood in a while. I mean, that thing was like literally a faucet, maybe more than a faucet. That was fucking crazy. But props to Jackson for getting through it. And I actually thought he looked really good all around. Like specifically notable was how slick he looked on the feet for a guy who's normally like a scrambler, grappler type guy. So he's putting it together.
Omar, take this one. Jackson, UD bloody over Rosa.
I would agree. It was a solid fight. That was a gross fight, especially if you're on the bottom getting poured blood on from somebody else. But it was a fantastic fight. I think Rosa had a lot of trouble in there, especially even being on the ground certain times. Just like Mark was saying, there's he's kind of a scramble guy, and Rosa got out scrambled in a lot of moments. So solid fight, kind of gross.
Lupi Godinez, am I saying that right? Round one sub over Silvana Juarez. Who's going to go first? Mark, go first.
She looked fantastic. Just put it on her. Honestly, there was Juarez had not much coming back at her in that fight. to the point that when that fight ended, I was like, I couldn't remember who she debuted against. And the answer is Jessica Penne, which once I saw it, I remembered it was on like 5 days notice or something. And I almost want to go back and watch that fight because I'm like, damn, Godinez is like kind of nice. Like I would like to go back and kind of see that fight with a different eye now after seeing that performance she just put on. And now she is stepping in a week later. She's fighting on Saturday. She's replacing Sijara Eubanks, which is fucking crazy. I didn't even know that was allowed.
Omar, Godinez round 1 sub over Juarez.
It's a gorgeous armbar. She just kind of slipped her legs right in between there, got the elbow in a really nasty position, and it was a gorgeous finish.
Steve Garcia, 2nd round TKO over Charlie. I'm going to butcher this one. Ontiveros.
Nope, you got it right.
Mark, take this one. Last one. Go first.
Yeah, not a ton to say about this one. Kind of low-level guys. Maybe not Garcia. We'll see. But Ontiveros is a dangerous striker. But the more you watch him, it kind of just seems like all you have to do is not get knocked out, and then he's going to break, which is exactly what happened in this fight. Garcia had to eat a few. Credit to him, but he just put it on him, and Ontiveros broke. So same story.
Omar, Garcia, 2nd round TKO over Ontiveros.
Yeah. I mean, it that was another one that ended up being pretty bloody, and a lot of ground and pound, a lot of finishing, a lot of damage.
All right, let's bring it home. That concludes our, I don't know what installment of our lightning round. Always fun.
Third, maybe.
I always like the lightning round. It's fun. I feel like it's our little game show, mid show.
I like it.
All right, boys. Well, once again, ladies and gentlemen, if you are watching us on YouTube, please subscribe to our channel. That helps us out so much. There is a thumbs up button right under the video. Please just click on that. It's free. It helps us so much. You can find us wherever you get your podcasts for the audio only version of the show. And of course, find us on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Clubhouse. No, we're not on Clubhouse anymore. Screw that place. All the socials at @and_new_MMA show in all the places. With that, boys, let us conclude this past weekend by hopping into our Priaulx rankings. Mark, tell us who has risen, who has fallen on the heels of UFC Fight Night, Dern versus Rodriguez.
Yeah, not a ton of movement. Nothing that was so significant to change rankings a lot. So only one to tell you, which was Maria Agapova, rising from my number 33 ranked women's flyweight to number 22. As I said earlier, I had to have her down there. She lost that fight to Shayna Dobson, but I have always thought she was better than that. And obviously she rights the ship here. Mazo has had some solid wins. So now she gets a nice win on her resume and moves back up into the thick of things. And it sounds like she's got a little rivalry going with Marina Moroz, which would be a cool fight. So I hope we get that one.
Nice. And that does it for this week.
That does it.
All right. Let's keep this show rolling along, boys. And let us now hop inside the MMA sphere. Omar, what stories, current events, and headlines have we this week from the MMA world?
I would love to tell you that I've got some fun stories for you. They're all pretty damn bad.
Oh, damn.
MMA has failed us this week. We've got some messed up stories here. I'm just going to get through them so we can get to the fight announcements, which will hopefully give us a little bit more happiness.
Let's plow through this.
We're going to start off with the nonsense. Luis Pena, Violent Bob Ross, cut from the UFC. We're done with this. We don't have to talk about him ever again. That man needs to be in jail. So long.
Good riddance. I loved his nickname, but I've had enough.
I think I said that too last week. I was just like, man, what a waste of a perfectly good, what a fantastic nickname. So apropos.
Yeah.
Anyway, Chuck Liddell also in the news. So I don't know if we touched on this last week. I think it happened basically right after we had ended our recordings, but basically Chuck Liddell got into a bit of a domestic dispute of his own with his wife. He was arrested by the police and taken away. Shortly thereafter, he came out with a statement basically saying that it was his wife that essentially beat him. And he asked the police to take him away instead of his wife. I don't know. We don't know. That's what he's saying. Right now, we're in the he said, she said era. I want to assume that there's probably going to be some sort of legal resolution to whatever is going on there. But either way, I hope the man can get some help because it's not a good situation to be in. So
yeah, it's a weird story. Like,
it is a very weird story.
Like, I'd love to believe Chuck, but at the same time, like, is that a thing where the person who did the beating, the victim can just say, like, take me to jail instead and leave this person in the house? Like, I've never heard. Is that a thing that happens?
I've never heard this either. My thought was like, he is Chuck Liddell. They may know him like on a personal level. Some of the cops may know him there.
Sure.
I don't know. I really don't know.
It also,
yeah, who knows? I mean, who knows?
I know we all must know a cop or two in our lives. I know I have a couple. We should have asked this before the podcast, but yeah. I have a feeling that it might be, and this I'm talking out of my ass. It might be sort of like police department standard protocol for domestic abuse to take the husband, to take the man, unless it's blatantly obvious that this woman is like, threatening him with a knife or like, beating the shit out of him. If it's like a domestic abuse call and they get there and there's like arguing, they take the man. I just feel like that's a thing. I
guess I can see it.
Well, I'll just read he wrote a thing on Instagram. If you want to read the whole thing, you can go on his Instagram and check it out. I'm just going to read a quick little blurb from it. I was the victim of the incident last night at our family home, as details of the case will reveal. The deputies informed me that my wife would be arrested as I did not respond to her assault while I sustained bruising and lacerations. I volunteered to go in her place.
Interesting.
I don't know how that works. That seems sketchy to me. But again, that's what's out there right now. When there is some more updates, hopefully they make more sense. We will provide them to everyone.
All right. What else? What other beatings do we have to report on?
Well, it's interesting you put it like that. One of your boy John Jones back in the news.
It's not my boy.
You're right. That was my bad. That was nobody's. He's nobody's boy. He's definitely not Wink's boy no more. Segue.
Well done. Nicely done. Nicely done.
All right. So John Jones has basically been banned from Jackson Wink for now, for the time being. It seems like Wink has obviously been through a lot. Wink and Jackson have both been through a lot of the nonsense with John Jones from the very beginning. They've been dealing with this for years at this point. So I don't think I personally thought the move was very surprising just because of how long they've been dealing with this. And it just never really seemed like they had a line that they weren't going to be like, okay, this is enough, right? I mean, he'd pretty much done it all at this point, give or take. I'm sure there were things that none of us even knew about that were out of the news that he had also been involved in that they had to deal with. So regardless, the thing that apparently got him messed up more than anything was the whole thing about his daughter being the one to essentially report the issue and ask for the cops to be called and that kind of stuff. That apparently hit Wink in a different spot. Wink has 2 daughters. I think it just messed with him a little bit. And so he basically told John, like, you got to quit drinking. You got to like get your life in order. You could basically be the greatest combat athlete of all time and do all these other amazing things in life, entrepreneurial stuff and whatever. But like, he's got to get his life right. And so it looks like until that point, I don't know how they're going to evaluate what that means, but I guess until further notice, he's not allowed back in the gym.
I'm about it, man. It's what this guy needs. Like, he needs actual penalties. And maybe if some start adding up, he will actually wake up and be like, hey, there's repercussions for things, because right now he has 0.
Yeah. And Jackson or Wink, was clear about the fact that John walks around with a lot of yes men and they won't tell him the reality of the situation sometimes. And I think Wink is kind of done with it at this point. And John's reaction, because we all know how mature he is, was had a heartbreaking conversation over the phone with one of my longtime coaches last night. Really hurts to lose the support of someone I respect so much. Sincere thank you to the rest of the coaches for staying in the fight with me. Our journey continues.
It's like he thinks he's taking the high ground, but he just sounds kind of, I don't know, like
he doesn't understand. Like he doesn't get it.
Yeah.
He doesn't understand. It's
like, he's like, why would Mike Winklejohn do this? Like, he didn't, John. You did it.
Like how? At what point? Is he just supposed to be with you there through thick and thin? Like no matter what you do, year after year, it just seems like a crazy assumption and a crazy thing to ask of anybody.
Yeah.
So I don't know. But that's the latest in the John Jones era. He is no longer allowed at Jackson Wink. I don't know if that means he won't be fighting. I don't know. I don't know what that means, but he's not allowed in the gym. So
you think another gym will just gladly scoop him up, or are other gyms going to shut their doors to him as well?
I think if there's money in it for the gym, I think they'll be open to it. But the reality is, I don't think a lot of these gyms have probably never had a lot of this kind of situation. And I also don't know where John Jones would go.
Publicity.
But where would he go? Where would he go?
Would he go to TriStar?
He would have to move out of Albuquerque.
He can afford movers.
But where would he go? Like
you see him leaving Albuquerque though? I don't know, dude.
Do you see him going
is the only place that I could think of?
Even just to do like a camp with like, I don't know, with TriStar, would he go to Jersey to train with Mark Henry? Would he go to
obviously, there's a million options. I don't think Mark Henry's taking John Jones.
Would he go to Milwaukee and train with Duke Rufus?
Yeah, I mean, you could go on and on, but obviously the guy's got plenty of doors he can knock on. It's just a question of if someone opens it. But now that we're talking about it, somebody will probably.
Yeah, I think so.
How do it's hard to turn down John Jones coming into your freaking camp.
To be honest,
and then especially if he's going to get right after that, and you could be like, "I'm the one that turned around John Jones," Yeah,
I mean, once you start getting into the era of hitting women, though, things start to change. You can do a lot of things in the MMA community, and people are like, "Well, probably shouldn't have done that." But then there's a couple things here and there where people are like, "This is unforgivable," kind of shit.
And the other thing is, it's not like he's some traveling fighter. Like he has like real roots in Albuquerque now. Like his family has grown up there. Like if he ever said, "Hey, we're gonna move to friggin' Canada or Florida, wherever," like his wife and his kids would probably be like, "What the fuck? We don't want to do that. Like, why are you doing this to us?" So it's not the easiest thing in the world. If he was gonna do that, he might have to leave himself and leave them there.
That's very true.
Here's a question. You guys have any inclination of why the UFC cut Violent Bob Ross but not John Jones?
They asked Dana.
Oh, they did?
Yeah. He said it's because of the details. So Pena's details were very, like, he legit was beating his girl and then hit another girl. Jones, there's only one implication of a strike, and Jones is denying there was even a strike. So I guess we'll see how that plays out. But so that was Dana's point of like different levels. And he did kind of make it seem like stuff could still come out that could change it, but that's kind of what he said.
It's the legality portion of it, right? They're not going to cut John Jones until something actually happens to John Jones. Like if he gets convicted for domestic violence legally, they'll cut the shit out of John Jones. Right. Luis Pena, enough has come out at this point where we know for a fact that he ground and pounded this woman and cracked this other woman in the face. Yeah. That's enough for the UFC to be like, "Nah, we're good. You can go."
Yeah.
All right, let's move on from the beatings.
So that's all I got in the sphere. These just ridiculous.
What fight announcements do you have? Any big
fight
fights?
Announcements?
No, on the horizon.
We're gonna start off with a little bit of drama because I like me some drama. Luke Rockhold talking all that shit.
Damn.
Talking all that shit.
I mean, it's not his fault.
It's not his fault.
I mean, it might be with the way that they train out there.
Well,
they're wild out there.
Throwing all those crescent kicks.
Regardless, he is out of the fight in New York with a couple of herniated discs in his back.
A couple? Jesus.
Yeah, I think he said it was something 3 and 4. I don't remember how that works, but he's got
a guy who's as jacked as Luke Rockhold, wouldn't like his back muscles just like hold his dick in place?
I'm telling you, they train. I've seen him train with people like grapple and stuff. It's like I want to shout into the computer, like, you have a fight, right? Like, you're scheduled for a fight.
Sean Strickland trains the same way though.
Yeah, but you see how he bitches and moans when somebody hurts him.
Yeah.
So there's a big difference. Luke Rockhold just goes with it and gets hurt.
Did you see the video of Strickland sparring that came out a few days ago? Where he's just hitting the guy and keeps screaming, "Let's fucking go!
Yeah,
Let's fucking go!" And he just keeps hitting him.
Psycho.
Crazy,
man.
I didn't, but I will. Anyway, Bilal Muhammad wants that fight. It'll never happen, but I love him for wanting to take it.
Of course.
The latest name, Gilbert Burns is asking for it now too.
That's a little more interesting. Burns.
I don't know why all these welterweights want the middleweight fight, but hey.
Yeah.
I'd rather find a middleweight, to be honest.
Next one on the list, Santiago Ponzinibbio versus Jeff Neal. That is a fantastic fight. It's a fantastic
really good one.
It is.
We've got Leon Edwards finally back in the octagon. And of course, against the man who served him up a raw 3-piece.
Let's go.
It's time for that to finally get squashed. That beef needs to be squashed.
Super hype right there.
Yeah.
And I believe that fight moving to December or getting scheduled for December 11th is the reason why Figueiredo versus Moreno,
yes, it was
3 has been moved now until January 22nd. For
They're
UFC
saying
270.
that pay-per-view on January 22nd may be in Anaheim, though, potentially, which obviously is very close to Tijuana, so that could work out pretty cool for Moreno.
That'd be dope.
But also, I got some respect back for Leon Edwards. I mean, who am I saying if I do or don't respect Leon Edwards, but got some respect back because I heard him talking to Ariel. And at first, so as we know, he was like calling Jorge out, and then it came out, oh, they're trying to make this fight for like late January or early February, whichever it was. And Leon said no. And all our takes were like, the fuck you mean no? You've been calling him out for 2 months. But I heard him on Ariel, and he was like, I still want the fight. I just don't want it if it's that late. Like if they can make it right now for like November or December, I want it. But if it's going to be in February, at that point, the Usman Colby fight is going to be long over. And I already think I should get a title shot. If I'm fighting in February, I should be fighting for the title. Like if they want to keep me busy in the meantime, I'll fight Jorge. So I kind of get his stance a lot more after hearing that. And obviously then they offered him December and he said, let's go. So I'm glad it's happening.
Yeah, that one 100% needs to be squashed. And I can't wait to see exactly what happens when both of them have their hands.
That's
out.
right. The UFC.
I wish that was 5 rounds.
Oh my God.
Facts.
The
that
UFC
should be
has
one of
been-
those special edition.
Fuck yeah, 100%.
It needs to be 5 rounds.
Yeah. They've been sitting on the footage of that backstage, the famous
Oh.
3-piece in Minnesota. They've just been waiting. The editors have been waiting and licking their chops to edit that shit into the most fire reel. It's going to be crazy.
It's probably one dude with the SD card he's been carrying around in his pocket the entire time. He's just got it saved, ready to go.
Yeah.
I honestly wish that I would say like that any fight that involves someone ranked in the top 5 is 5 rounds. Like if you're ranked in the top 5, you're fighting 5 rounds.
I kind of like
that would make me very happy.
What if one
like
guy's...
not because I don't want to say top 10 because like if it's like 8 versus 10, I don't need it. But if it's like 5 versus 7, I kind of think it should be. You know what I mean? So like if there is one fighter in the top 5, I want it to be 5 rounds.
Oh wow, that's kind of cool.
I kind of like that. That's kind of nice.
All right, what else you got? Let's plow through this.
All right. Macy Barber is replacing Montana De La Rosa versus Erin Blanchfield, and that will also be on the December 11th card. Ian Heinisch and Sam Alvey are both getting one more fight. I would assume.
Alvey just keeps getting fights. I don't understand it. How many times can you?
Alvey doesn't die, man. Alvey never dies.
Smiling.
Yeah, I mean
that smile. They can't resist his smile.
Heinisch, I believe, is on a 3-fight skid at this point.
Is it 3? Wow, I didn't realize it was 3.
I think it's 3. Either way, I would imagine he probably doesn't have too many more losses on his
it's just
allowance. 2. It's just 2.
Yeah,
wouldn't imagine he's got too many losses on his.
But it's 4 out of 5, so I understand your thinking.
Oh, okay.
He started 2-0, and now he's lost 4 out of 5.
Okay, so that fight's February 5th, so it's a little while from now. So we'll see how that plays out, but I think that's going to be a do or die for either one of them, to be honest.
Possibly.
Alexa Grasso is out of her fight against Talia Santos.
Yes.
Joanne Calderwood will be stepping in for
other way around. Santos is stepping in.
Oh, Santos is stepping in for
Grasso.
Grasso. Right.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Calvin Cater.
Yes.
Calvin Cater.
Fighting Giga Chikadze.
Oh man,
Love it.
That's a banger.
Love it. Yeah.
That is a fantastic fight right there.
That's a sick fight. Is that a main event?
I don't know if it's a main event. They didn't specifically say it, but it is January 15th.
I hope so.
It is a fight night, so it is very, very possible that it's
okay. Good. I bet it is. I bet it is.
It's got to be at least.
I would think so, right? That they're both big enough
Yeah.
that they could carry that fight night.
Yeah.
And those are our fight announcements for the week.
All right.
Love it.
Thank you, sir.
Yes,
Thank you,
sir.
Let us now shift focus from the past to the future. This coming weekend, UFC Fight Night, Ladd versus Dumont. Guys, what do we think of this fight night overall? And what do we think about this main event? Mark, go first.
It's hard to make me less interested in a main event than I am in this one. Aspen Ladd, I'm kind of just turned off at this point. Like, we have previewed her twice on this show, and we haven't been doing this show for that long, and she has fought in neither time. So it's been 2 years since she has been in the cage. She can't make weight. Obviously now this is 145, so we'll see, but it's only been 2 weeks since she was just shaking uncontrollably on a scale because she couldn't make weight. Who knows what she did in the days since that fight getting canceled, what she ate or whatever. So do we even know if she's going to make 145? I don't know. I have no trust in her at this point. I would hope she knows. I would hope that in accepting this fight, she knows 145 is not going to be a problem. But I'm just generally turned off. Then you have Norma Dumont, who's 2-1 in the UFC, but she's beat one good fighter in Felicia Spencer, and it was kind of like a close, not so much happened fight. So it's like, how do I evaluate her? It just doesn't feel right that she's in a main event. So I don't know. I mean, Dumont does have pretty fast hands. She can box. She can grapple. She has pretty good takedown D. So, I mean, she's solid. Ladd is the more skilled fighter. Like, I think that's kind of obvious to me, but I just don't know if I should be picking based on skill or based on health. Like, obviously Dumont is a real 145er. She hasn't been going through putting her body through all this. It's a 5-round fight now because it's a main event that Ladd is obviously taking on short notice after just having her weight debacles. So what's going to happen when it gets into rounds 3, 4, and 5 for Ladd? I don't know. I guess I will just say Ladd wins because she does have more skills.
Mm-hmm.
Would it shock me if Ladd just kind of crashes after 2 rounds? Not even a little bit, but I got to pick, so I'll say Ladd.
Omar, what do you think, Ladd versus Dumont this coming weekend?
I'm not really sure what the credentials are to allow somebody to fight after not being able to fight. But I will say this. Miesha Tate called Ladd out for being a cheater and tried to start some shit with Aspen Ladd, talking about, listen, we see you out here trying to hold on to the towel and to the rack and trying to make a whole show about how you're shaking, so you need to hold on to it. It's like, don't be doing that. We know you're trying to distribute the weight, you're trying to cheat, you're trying to get those few pounds off the scale. So I thought that was very interesting. We might see that fight eventually at some point.
Maybe.
Gonna be tough to see if Ladd can't ever fight at bantamweight.
Regardless of whether the shaking part was real or not, and if it was real, even more so. But let's say it was a way for her to cheat or what she was trying to do to cheat. She looked terrible.
She did.
She physically looked awful on that scale.
Yeah. And was way off.
It just not even close. Not even close.
Yeah.
And I'm super concerned. One, I'm trying to figure out why she's getting a main event. I guess in reality, looking at the rest of the card, there's really nothing else to put up. It's
because there's no other featherweights.
And
so they were literally like, who the fuck can we give this fight to?
But let's be real though. We've seen them change around main events and just move cards around. But there is nothing else on this card that could hold a main event. This barely is arguable to hold as main event.
Yeah.
So it just, I don't know. It does seem crazy to allow her to fight this early on. I guess at the end of the day, if she is healthy, she did just do an entire camp. So it's not super, super short notice in reality.
Yeah.
I am just not really sure what to expect because you would think she would be the smaller fighter, but Aspen Ladd is already a big girl in a small division. So I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure what to expect, but if she doesn't have a size disadvantage, Ladd should be able to beat the crap out of this girl.
Yeah. Yeah. I like Ladd by decision in this for sure. I think she's going to be the more talented fighter in there.
Yeah.
Well, any other honorable mentions you guys want to make from this fight night that you want our listeners to be aware of?
It's not the greatest. I do always enjoy me lately Andrei Arlovsky playing his gatekeeper role because he plays it really well. Like the dudes who are legit get past him and the ones who don't. Like he's been the perfect gatekeeper recently. And now he's doing it again against Carlos Felipe, I forget. But yeah, he has looked good so far. He may be good. And we're going to find out because Arlovsky's going to do what he's in there to do and give us the answer.
Yeah.
Yep. Jim Miller is also another one to look out for. Jim Miller is going to be a good time. I think in all the years I've been watching MMA, I don't think I've ever seen Jim Miller in a boring fight. So the fight itself means nothing. He's essentially kind of playing a gatekeeper role in and of itself of like, do you belong in the UFC essentially? But it's going to be a fun fight regardless, whether he wins, loses. It's a banger all the time with Jim Miller. So definitely worth watching.
He's fighting Eric Gonzalez.
Yeah, debuting.
Yeah.
I do also like the Andrew Sanchez versus Bruno Silva fight at middleweight. Sanchez has looked like he's made significant strides lately, but I'm more interested in the fight because of Silva. Silva is a guy who kind of took the long road to the UFC, but he beat Alexander Shlemenko a few years back and has a very solid record and had an awesome debut. So the odds are close on this. Like, it's not like he's some uber prospect who they're expecting to run Sanchez over, but he may be the real deal. So if he looks good here, we'll see what's up.
Nice.
Julia Marquez versus Jordan Wright should actually be one of the more entertaining fights from both sides. I think we're talking a lot about singular performances that we're kind of looking out for, but I actually think this one fight in particular should have good performances from both guys on paper. Julia Marquez is part of that James Krause team, which are very active fighters, very forward moving fighters. They're very much about pressure, action, basically trying to drown the fighters. So they're always, frankly, a good time to watch, win or lose. And then Jordan Wright is just a very dynamic kid. He's got a lot of kicks, a lot of striking. He's had some issues. He was one of the ones that fell to the Joaquin Buckley hands of steel. So he has that one loss on his record, but otherwise he's been pretty, I believe we looked it up earlier. Other than that, he's won all his fights, right?
Yeah, he's 2-1 in the UFC so far.
Yeah. So I think he showed a good amount of promise, especially just in his technique and the way that he fights. So I'm really interested to see how the Marquez versus Wright fight goes.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Nice. Any others, boys?
No, sir. Let's get into the better card of the weekend.
All right, that is right. The better card this weekend is actually Bellator 268 Nemkov versus Anglickas. Did I say that right?
Anglickas.
God damn it. All these fucking names. MMA. Stop being such a global sport. It makes my job as a ring announcer extra tricky.
Dude, you pronounce shit really well, I gotta say.
I do.
Yeah, once you get to like practice it, then he nails it.
Damn, but like I've heard people say Hispanic names wrong my whole life.
Hispanic
teachers
names.
And I'm saying teachers and people who should know after a certain point fucking say it right.
Yeah.
But like they never do. Mike says shit better than fucking Hispanic people I know. Frankly.
Oh, I agree. Mike is nice.
Like he's very good.
I DM people and I ask them to use the voice memo to say their name for me once, say it for me again slow. I know phonetics. I can write it out phonetically and I practice.
But I appreciate your effort because people don't do that.
I'm going to be honest. I'm like 95% sure it's Anglickas, not 100. So I hope it is, but it ain't Anglickas. I'll tell you that.
I will just say one more thing about the naming is that A couple times. I take it as the biggest like mark of like that I'm doing something right is when a guy's from either Brazil or Latin America like look at me kind of surprised when I ask them how to say their name and I say it back to them. Like the last time at the XFC event I did back in October, a guy named Mateus Camilo, he was like, my friend, you're Brazilian, so good. I was like, thanks, buddy. He's like, wow, very good, very good. And yeah, I love it. I love
That's great.
flipping into a more like proper Portuguese or proper Spanish or whatever the language might be.
Yeah,
I just think I think it's like a sign of respect for the fighter.
For sure.
Yeah,
man.
Nope.
Anyway, that being said, enough about me. Let's talk about this Bellator card 268.
Yes.
Mark, why don't you lead it off? Nemkov is maybe my favorite fighter in Bellator. The guy is the boogeyman of my dreams. So why don't you kick it off?
I get it, man. He's good. So yeah, we're in the semifinals here of the Bellator Light Heavyweight Grand Prix. Obviously, we'll get to the other fight. We're going to start with the title fight. Vadim Nemkov, the Bellator Light Heavyweight Champion, fighting Julius Anglickas. The betting odds currently are minus 475 for Nemkov, plus 350 for Anglickas. So huge favorite. Obviously, it's interesting here because it's easy to dismiss Anglickas because he's the late replacement. We all thought we were going to be getting Nemkov versus Rumble Johnson, which would have been fucking incredible. Obviously, Rumble is sick, so we get Anglickas, who was the alternate, who had kind of been waiting in the wings in this tournament, and now he gets his shot here. He's actually a pretty good fighter. He's strong. He's big. He'll have a 3-inch height advantage over Nemkov. He can box. He can wrestle. He can grapple. Like he's a well-rounded guy. He has a win over Alex Polizzi, who's another good Bellator light heavyweight. I don't view him as someone who's just being fed to Nemkov here. I think he can keep this interesting at least for a while. But with that said, I'm picking Vadim Nemkov. The guy has really ascended to probably top 3 or 4 light heavyweight in the world at this point. Like he has been truly fantastic. He's got a hell of a resume. I think that it's his foot speed and his footwork that will make the difference in this fight. Anglickas is kind of stationary. And I think that the angles that Vadim takes and specifically his leg kicks are what will come to bear against a more stationary fighter. His leg kicks are disgusting. All of them, like literal leg kicks, body kicks, head kicks. Like the guy's kicking game is nuts. And yeah, I think over time he'll just find the angles. Like I said, I think it could be close for a while, maybe closer than people are thinking. But I think over time he finds the angles, starts to wear Anglickas down, and I'll say it steadily takes over and ends up with a 4th round TKO.
Nice. Omar, what do you think?
I think Nemkov is one of those fighters that seems to kind of get stronger over time. And I think once it starts getting into the championship rounds, kind of like Mark alluded to, that Anglickas will end up running into kind of a brick wall there. I don't know if it's going to go all the way to decision. I actually really think he'll probably finish him towards the end of the fight. It's just kind of a feeling that I have. I have no real logic for that one.
Okay. I'm going with my boy Nemkov, the boogeyman. That's my nickname for him. All right, let's go down to our co-main event here. Ryan Bader versus Corey Anderson. This is going to be a fun one. Omar, why don't you take this one first? What do you think, Bader Anderson?
Super interesting fight. I got to say, all things considered, I still don't like either one of these guys.
You don't like Bader? I kind of like Bader.
I've never liked Bader, dude. I've never liked Bader. Never.
You're saying liked as in want to root for the guy, or liked as in believe that he's top level?
Kind of both. I mean, they're both good fighters. Like, they're not bad fighters by any stretch of the imagination. I never thought Bader was going to be a UFC champion. I never thought Corey Anderson was going to be a UFC champion. Bellator? Sure. Possible, you know? With that being said, let's, I don't want to completely shit on them. With that being said, they are both decent fighters. I've just never really been sold on Ryan Bader's hype for himself on his skill set. I think at this point, Corey Anderson probably has more to offer as a whole. And I also think his wrestling is probably going to be stronger than Bader's is. I could totally be wrong about that. To be fair, Bader's wrestling has seemed to improve over the last few years, which is, I feel like, kind of rare for guys who, especially who grew up wrestling. I feel like once their wrestling game is what it is, it just kind of stays that way. But it seems like Bader did something different where maybe he changed his game up on how to use his wrestling. I'm not sure. But it has gotten more effective. Corey just always has had a very strong wrestling base where he hasn't been making a lot of those flopping mistakes that Ryan Bader has made in the past. So I just think there's just a little bit more consistency with Corey Anderson. I also think his hands are probably just as good as Bader's. I've never really been sold on Bader's hands. So I think all in all, Corey Anderson is probably going to walk away with the decision. Close fight.
Mark, okay. Mark, let's bring you in here. What do you make of this Bellator light heavyweight matchup between Bader and Corey?
I love this fight. It might suck, so then I wouldn't love it, but I like the matchup on paper. I'll give you the odds quick. Corey's actually the favorite. He's minus 180. Bader is plus 150, so pretty close.
Wow.
This is the fight that I'm most looking forward to on the card. It's honestly wild to me that these guys never crossed paths while they were in the UFC. Yeah. It's damn near impossible for me to predict. I'm having a hard time with it. They're both incredible wrestlers with dominant, and I mean dominant, top control ground and pound. If they get on top of you, you are in deep trouble. But the question on that is, can either guy actually make it to that position? Probably not. This is another one that I wish was 5 rounds. Granted, it's a co-main anyway, so even if it was in the UFC, it wouldn't be, but I kind of wish it was. I feel like it might be really tight after 3, and we don't feel like we have an answer. If it does stay on the feet, which is always possible with 2 great wrestlers, Bader does have the more varied striking game. He has more weapons, but Corey's going to have a 5-inch reach advantage, which I could see him use well with his jab specifically.
Interesting.
Both guys are kind of prone to like spacing and getting caught with something. So I could see that happen either way. Like, I don't know. I'm looking for something to grab onto, to like pull me one way or the other. And I'm struggling to find it. Maybe it's the age, like that Bader's a little older at this point. He's 6 years older than Corey, but he still looks like he is, chugging away. Like his only loss is Vadim Nemkov, who's just simply his only Bellator loss, who's just simply a superior fighter. So like, I don't know. I look at this fight and I think it might play out very similarly to the 2 Bader Phil Davis fights, which were just boring as shit. But so I'm afraid of that. But on that note, even if it does play out that way, I think that Phil is kind of inactive at times, whereas Corey is like highly active. So I guess I'm going to lean on that activity to make a pick. And I'll say, whereas Bader like edged Phil Davis decisions by this much, I'm going to say Corey edges a Bader decision by this much. So I'll go with Corey by decision.
Tell me again the odds of this fight.
Corey Anderson minus 180, Ryan Bader plus 150.
Okay, you are more the betting guy than I. Those are relatively close odds, yeah.
Pretty close, yeah.
Okay,
like Bader is a 1.5 to 1 underdog. Corey's a little more of a favorite than that, but that anything that starts with a 1 is like pretty close.
Yeah, because considering this matchup, skill for skill, it's kind of a coin flip for me. I think.
Oh, I thought it would be closer. Yeah, I'm surprised that Corey's that big. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So we're pretty much on the same page because, I think of it kind of as basically whoever's going to get lucky and land that shot first. I think both these guys have enough power to put the other one away. And I think it's hard to pick. I think it's just going to be whoever lands first.
Yeah. If they fought 10 times, I think it'd be 5-5.
So I would take Bader since he's the underdog. Because I think it's kind of a coin flip.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. If I was betting, if I had to pick one to bet on, I would take the underdog money on Bader. I think it's that close of a fight. I totally agree with that take.
Yeah, whoever's going to catch the other guy first. Yeah. All right, let's move on. More former UFC contenders. Benson, Henderson taking on Brent, Primus. Mark, what do you think?
Yeah, I like this fight a lot too. I'm into this Bellator card. I kind of like some of the lesser ones, which I'll mention before we go here. But I like this fight. Benson is Bellator's number 3 lightweight right now. Which I don't get. He's behind Sidney Outlaw. I don't quite understand why. For me, he's number 2. And then Brent Primus is not even ranked in the Bellator rankings, which makes 0 sense to me considering he has a win over Michael Chandler. Granted, it was due to the injury, but Primus was in there with him and it kind of was kicking him. So he's my number 4 lightweight. This is a top level lightweight fight for me in terms of Bellator. I've never been a Benson guy. As you guys know, I think he's always fought like not to lose. And now in Bellator, it's just become even more exaggerated that he fights that way. But I will say that was until these last 2 fights. Now, granted, they were both losses, but when he beat Miles Jury in a really close, boring fight, two fights back, he kind of said after the fight, like, I get that was a super boring fight. I don't want to fight that way. Like, I understand I'm coming toward the end of my career. I want to have some great fights here. And it did, again, he has gone 0-2 since then, but it was Michael Chandler, who's obviously an animal. And then Jason Jackson, when he went up to welterweight to try to fight Jason Jackson for no apparent reason, which made no sense. So he lost both, but he did fight, it seemed, a lot more aggressively for the typical Benson Henderson that you see. So I'm kind of curious to see what happens in this one. Obviously, he's back in his appropriate weight class now, and he's still right there at the top of lightweight. He's beat most of these guys in that division. But Primus is a great test. Primus is nasty on the ground. He never, ever stops moving or trying to set things up. He'll catch you if you slip, for sure. And that's the main reason that I love this fight, because, yes, Benson should have an advantage on the feet, and maybe he does want it to stay there. But I just the way Benson fights, I kind of think this is going to end up on the mat at some point, and I'm going to be super into it because watching these 2 scramble on the mat is going to be awesome. Benson is so hard to sub. And like I said, he is better on the feet, especially if he's going to keep up this new aggression. So it's hard for me to pick Primus. The odds are super tight, literally a coin flip. Benson's minus 120, Primus is plus 100. So basically a pick 'em. So that I guess people do think Primus can do it, it seems, but I don't know if I can see Benson getting tapped. So I'm going to go with Benson to win a decision. I think it could be a fun fight. And honestly, who knows how many fights Benson has left, but if he beats Primus here, the lightweight belt in Bellator has just been relinquished by Pitbull because he said he wants to focus on featherweight and get a rematch with AJ McKee. So his brother, Patricky Pitbull, is fighting Peter Queally for the title. And honestly, if Benson wins this fight, I think he might get a title shot. And he could certainly beat either one of those guys. So we might actually get a little Benson Henderson right off into the sunset with a belt scenario that happens here. But he'll have to get past Primus first, so we'll see.
All right, Omar, what do you make of this Henderson-Primus matchup?
I think it's a great matchup. It's a fun fight. I think a lot of Mark's points are valid, especially when it comes to Benson Henderson and how he performs. He's a frustrating guy to be a fan of because, like, he's got all the potential in the world, and then he just kind of skates by. Even when he loses in the fights that he skates by, he like has this attitude where he's like, obviously I won this one, right?
That's so true.
And it's like, buddy, like, no, like this fight is way closer than it needed to be. And you barely look like you're out of breath. Like you could have done so much more, and you got a toothpick in your mouth. Don't know why.
The toothpick was always one of the weirder MMA quirks, man.
I mean, yeah. I've never seen anything so stupid done by somebody so smart in my life. Like Benson Henderson is not a dumb man, but that is about as stupid as you can be with that toothpick in your mouth thing.
He had hold on. Didn't he do a fight? He had a fight where he had a toothpick in his mouth during the fight?
Had multiple fights.
That's what he's talking about. Yeah.
Multiple fights. I think once he made it public, the commission started checking for it.
Don't they check anyway?
No, who the hell is going to check for a toothpick?
Yeah,
he was hiding it. He has like a little technique where he like flips it.
I'm sorry to go off into this tangent. Has he ever come out to say why he prefers to have a toothpick in his mouth during?
I think he may have been a long time ago though.
He did. He basically just said it's an addiction. It's just like something he does. It's like a I forget what you call them, but like a fidget kind of thing.
Like,
But he's got a mouth guard in. He's got a mouth guard in his mouth.
Dude, you're asking me to. I don't understand it.
I don't know.
I would never. I
an
would
explainable
never.
thing. There's not an answer.
Yeah, it's a terrible idea. I would never.
Man.
Anyway, fight wise, I think Benson Henderson is, as far as skills are concerned, Benson Henderson has skills for days. I've always been a fan of the way that he kicks. The way that his striking game, I think, is actually pretty phenomenal. But his issue has always been he's very reserved. He's one of those guys to, throw 1, 2, 1, 2, 3 or whatever, and then like he backs out for the next 30 seconds. Like he's not a very aggressive fighter. Pressure is not his game by any stretch of the imagination. He basically at best tries to point fight. At worst is trying not to get his ass beat by somebody like 20, 25 pounds heavier than him that he should not be in there with.
He seems like one of the nicest guys in the sport.
100%. He's
very
much,
valid.
yeah.
Another thing that's interesting is his wife is debuting on this card.
No way. Who's his
So
wife?
it's going to be wild if he has to watch his wife lose earlier in the night and then go out and fight. That will be hard.
What's her name?
I don't know.
Okay.
Let's see.
Sumiko Inaba, Randy Field. Oh, Maria Henderson.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Wait, I don't see
1-0.
Oh, she's 1-0.
115 pounds.
Maria. Oh, she's in the first bout. Oh, it's an amateur bout. Wow, Bellator putting on an amateur bout.
Wow.
Oh, really?
That's what it says on Wikipedia.
Wow. Why? You're right. Amateur bout. I'm looking at it right now. Yeah. So first fight of the night. At least he'll have a lot of time to shake it off before it gets to him. He's the 11th fight of the night.
Wow. I wonder why Bellator is putting on an amateur bout.
Yeah, it's strange. Definitely strange. But yeah, so hopefully she wins, or else that's gonna fuck with his mental for sure.
Yeah, right. Any other notable fighters or matchups on this card, guys?
Yeah, I will say quick. Opening up the main card is Henry Corrales against Vladislav Parubchenko, and Corrales is always in super fun fights, so that is one to watch. But then the one I want to point out is on the prelims, you have a potential guy to watch in Carl Albrechtsen. Vadim Nemkov, the champ, has lost 2 fights in his 15-fight career. One was Yuri Prohaska, who's an animal. The other, you guessed it, Carl Albrechtsen. It was a split decision back in 2016, but it was a loss, and it was a most. I looked back into it. It seems like most scored it for Albrechtsen. He's lost a few times since, but they are to Valentin Moldavsky, who is the interim Bellator heavyweight champion, who's a beast, to Yuri Prohaska, and to Phil Davis. So those are all studs. So this guy is 12-3. He's on a 3-fight win streak. He's won 6 out of 7. He looked good in his Bellator debut, and if he gets the win here, he might become a name to watch. He's got some skills.
Say the name of his opponent.
His opponent is it's that dude that was fighting in the tournament. Yagshimuradov is his last name. His first name is Davletsan. I don't know.
Actually, I mean, these Russian names they always look super intimidating, but they're actually quite easy once you hear them once or twice.
How do you say that first name?
I would guess it would be Davletsan or something like that.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Or Davletsan.
Dav Yagshimuradov.
Davletsan. Because Russian names are just so like syllabic. They're just like Yagshimuradov. You just got to repeat it a couple times. Anyway, any other highlights, guys, from this card you want to shout out? Or should we get on out of here?
I just want to say I'm super interested to see this fighter from Aruba. When do you see that?
Who's the
Is it
Aruban
Milliard?
fighter?
Yeah, Gregory
Mike,
Milliard.
Did you announce Gregory Milliard, Mike?
I've not announced.
Oh, because he was in whatchamacall? Oh boy, Taura. Yes.
That must have been before my time at Taura.
Was it? I feel like it was when you were there.
No, I definitely did not NS.
Did you? But you didn't even, when you did the announcing for Taura, didn't you share that with some other guy? I don't even think you did the entire night, right?
No, it was me.
Oh, dude, he didn't fight. He was scheduled to fight and it didn't happen. But I think it was when you were there. Yeah.
Super interesting, though. I've never seen a fighter come out of Aruba. Just found that interesting.
Yeah. His nickname is like what is it? It's the Arubian Assassin, I think, is his nickname.
Where do you see that it says that he was supposed to fight for Tauta?
I mean, I didn't Google it. I just remember it.
I think I do remember his nickname, the Arubian Assassin, maybe a little bit.
Yeah, see, like I can see that he was.
The fight must have gotten pulled.
He was supposed to fight Serafian.
Where do you see this?
Oh,
yeah.
Where do you see this? Are you on SureDog?
I just Googled it.
Oh, okay.
It came up.
Okay.
Let me see if I go on.
If only.
Yeah, would have been cool. Yeah. Milliard versus Serafian, November 21st, Atlantic City, New Jersey.
Yeah. That event never happened.
Oh, so that's why.
Yeah.
There you go.
I'm just hoping Daniel Serafian's doing well.
Anyhow.
Yeah.
Any other shout outs, or should we put a bow on this episode, boys?
I think that's a bow.
Let's wrap it on up.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much once again for watching and or listening to this episode. You can find us on YouTube and New MMA Show. Please like our video, subscribe to this channel, share this video with somebody you know who enjoys MMA but may not know about this show yet. Find us wherever you get your podcast for the audio only version. And of course, find us on social media and get at us. Comment with your predictions, your picks, and your disagreements with Mark and Omar's magma hot takes. That being said, gentlemen, any parting shots here?
Yeah, just follow up on that. Sincerely, thank you to everyone who downloads and listens every week. Obviously, we're still kind of in the infancy of this show, so we really appreciate you guys who have been loyal from the jump and who we know we can count on every week. So thank you. And yeah, tell one friend, tell two, and we're gonna keep growing this thing.
Omar, any parting shots, words of wisdom?
Just a lot of love from the Nicaraguan nightmare.
Oh! All right, guys. See you next week.
Later, boys.
Peace.
Peace.
Peace.